Are you a woman of faith or open-minded seeker, wanting to make a difference, but find yourself asking, how can I heal my emotions and overcome the hurt, pain, and regrets of my past? How can I break free from the medical matrix and heal my mind and body holistically? How can I lose weight without losing my joy? How can I live in this world without being consumed by it? How can I have more of God's blessings, miracles, and protection over my life? If you resonate with any of these questions, you are in the right place, my sister. Welcome to the Sharing the Bliss podcast, where we help women of faith soothe their souls, heal their bodies, and live their bliss in a time like this. Join me, Coach Carmen Abercrombie, certified holistic health coach, author, speaker, and founder of Sharing the Bliss, and my co-host, Coach Denise Beecham, the Wellness Diva, on this weekly joyful transformational journey. Because regardless of your current circumstances, your breakthrough begins today. Well, hello. Welcome to Sharing the Bliss podcast. I'm Coach Carmen, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Coach Denise.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be really good.
It sure is, Denise. We are excited because this is our first season, and we're going to kick it off by talking about having a cold, dealing with the flu, and perhaps COVID. And I think this is very important now. We're in a season that is very, very much a season for catching something. And both Coach Denise and I have experienced recently catching something. And we want to talk about our experiences. And then we're going to share with you some of the things we think is vitally important for you and for us to avoid catching any type of virus this season or any time of the year, because they don't go to sleep. Unfortunately not. Right, Coach Denise?
No, they don't.
They don't. So I just wanted to start off by telling a little bit of what happened to me recently. You know, I missed my birthday, Christmas, and New Year's because I caught a really bad cold that included an ear infection, an eye infection, a terrible sore throat, and a pounding headache. It was a 3-week battle, and I even had to go on antibiotics. So I was devastated, to be honest with you, and a little frustrated because I felt like I could have done some things differently. Started by going to a family member's funeral, and because my husband and I were, part of the immediate family, we were dealing with a lot of people, a lot of hugs, a lot of handshakes, a lot of love, and somebody gave me a bug. It's just terrible. But it happened, and we were in close quarters in a Mercedes Sprinter with about 10 people. It took us a while to get to the church. Spent time at the church. From there, we got back in the Sprinter with all of the family members. We had several Sprinters, but there was 10 in ours. And from there, we took a 35 or maybe 40-minute ride all the way to Long Island for the outdoor services. And it was an Air Force service, so we were out there for a while. So I'm not used to being out in the cold because I work from home. And that's one thing I know was a challenge for me. My immune system was not quite ready. Everything in me was just so used to being in an environment where it's just me that I hadn't hardened off. You know how you harden off your plants, Denise, when you get a new plant and you want to get it used to being outside? I don't know if you've planted, well, you had your grandma who planted things outside.
Yeah.
Lots of times when you get a new plant, you don't want to just put it in the ground. If you were growing it from seed inside, you want to bring it outside for a little while, then bring it back in. Bring it outside and then bring it back in. And you do that until you feel like the plant has hardened off. Well, it's the same thing with us. If it's a cold season, we have to get used to it by going out and getting our bodies used to the temperature and all. before we, feel like we can handle it. If you're working from home, you don't go out much, and now all of a sudden you're in the throes of this cold, freezing day, and you're out all day.
Right.
That's when something can get you. You're more open to something getting you.
Right.
Right. So that's what happened to me. So, Coach Denise, what's the most recent situation you had with a cold, a flu, or virus?
I haven't had a cold in a while. I must say I haven't had a cold in quite some time, but I did get COVID. I remember because I was taking someone to the airport who, once again, was going to a funeral of a relative, and they got in my car, but failed to tell me that they weren't well and that their partner wasn't well. And didn't tell me until we were 20 minutes into the ride. It's cold out, so the windows are rolled up, the heat is on, we're not masked up, so we're talking back and forth, so it's just flying back and forth. And 20 minutes into the ride, that's when I found out that they were ill. So needless to say, a few days later, I had COVID.
My goodness.
And the person who passed it to me went to the funeral and passed it to other people who also attended that funeral. So it was
oh wow,
it was a little crazy.
What happens.
Yeah, that's what happened. I was really, really upset behind that because, it could have been avoided, but unfortunately it wasn't. So that's how I ended up having COVID, which it wreaked havoc, but thank God I was able to, fight it off. Few things here and there, but nothing major to where, I was altered in a really significant way.
But you had a fight, and you knew what to do to fight. But I remember that you did have a fight, and I was saying to myself, I can't imagine people who did not know what you know, how they would have dealt with what you were dealing with, because you knew how to breathe because of your experience as a Pilates instructor and all. You forced yourself to breathe when you were having the respiratory issues. And I remember some of the long haul situations too, with not tasting and all.
That was one. I did lose my taste of sense and smell. My sense of taste came back completely, but I never recovered totally my sense of smell. Like certain things I can smell, certain things I cannot.
That's serious.
Food cooking, I can't smell it. But if I'm boiling garlic and turmeric or something like that, I can smell that.
Yeah.
I can smell that. I can't smell smoke unless it's like, it has to be a lot of it. So I have to be really careful about when I'm cooking, not to forget what I'm doing and remember to go in and check on it because I cannot smell it. But then I can smell cleaning things. Like if I'm cleaning my house, taking a shower, I can smell all of that.
So, that's pretty serious. And I think because we've seen such extreme cases with so many people that we know and love, I think that's the reason why you feel like what you've had to go through is not that big of a deal.
But it really,
what compared to, right.
But
it is a big deal, and that's why next week we're going to talk about how to fight once you have the cold, the serious flu or COVID. There's things that we can do holistically, as well as the practices that the doctor may be prescribing for you. You definitely need to know what you can do on your own as well. So we're going to talk about that next week. So we just shared with you some examples of what we've been through, and we are women who are very conscious about the way we eat, our lifestyle. We do our detox, the 28-day body and soul detox on a regular and all. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you that last year, my immune system was not super strong because, first of all, I had that mold situation. I say that because many of you who know me know about me and mold. So that mold situation definitely affected me. And the reason why it affected me as bad as it did is because I was back and forth with my diet. I wasn't at 100 with the way that I normally eat to stay healthy and to avoid illness. I was eating more cooked food. Some of the foods were not organic and just things. We'll talk about these things some other time, but basically I was not setting myself up for protecting my body. My immune system was not that strong. I was not taking all of the supplements, and I was staying up many nights, breaking night. I mean, I got into a habit of not getting the sleep that I needed. And I did that for many, many nights. And that was one of the things Coach Denise kept warning me about. You have to stop. It's not cute anymore. You have to get some sleep. So my sleep routine was a mess. I got into the habit of breaking night. And I know that had a lot to do with my immune system being weakened too, Coach Denise. I really do. So I know I set myself up with my lifestyle. It wasn't what it should have been. So we can talk about the different things that we can do to protect ourselves, right? Let's start with going back to basics, because a lot of people think that we don't have to follow these practices and protocols that we practiced and followed 2 years ago. But depending on the situation, it is necessary to go back to basics. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, when you said that, you said 2 years ago, my mind immediately went back to when we were kids and my mother would send us to school and she would always say, wash your hands. That was her main thing, wash your hands. You touching desks and everything, books and all that, wash your hands. But if you think about it, these things were always done in my house. My mother wiped down doorknobs, handles, she continuously wiped countertops, sprayed and wiped them and kept them pretty clean at all times. Even in the summertime, it didn't matter if it was winter, spring, summer, or fall. She did that. And now I move out and I'm on my own. I'm not doing that. I know about it, but I'm not doing it. I didn't start doing that until I was much older. And so, because, when you're young, you think you're invincible. Oh, I'm not getting this, I'm not getting that. And thank God I didn't, but it could have been a whole nother situation. But when I got older and, now I'm in the workforce and I'm seeing all of these, people coming in and they're sick and they're infecting, wiping out the whole office. So going back to basics to me makes sense. Wipe things down, wash your hands. Don't put your hands on your face. Don't put your fingers in your mouth, right? These things, like if you're in around all these different environments and, work, school, or wherever you happen to be, social areas where you go, we're not always thinking about it. Like you're not thinking about it, but sometimes you do have to be somewhat mindful of your environment and what's around you. So keep yourself where you can protect yourself. If you have to walk around with hand sanitizer, you can pull it out your bag and use it before you eat,
or before
you touch food, or make your own hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so those are the basic things that you can do in your environment,
right?
To protect yourself.
Environment. Yeah. And then, we have to go back to situations where you're around enough people, like with me in that Mercedes Sprinter. I really should have had on a mask. Now, there's a lot of controversy still about wearing a mask, but I'm like, do you, boo? If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear one. But don't put people down because they're wearing a mask.
Right.
We have to be very conscious about that and not so judgmental. You never know what a person's going through, what type of health issues they are going through, and how sensitive their immune system may be. We have a personal friend who has been dealing with leukemia for many, many years. And it has come back, and she's on chemotherapy, and she has to really protect herself by wearing a mask. She wears the shield, and whatever else she has to do, because she has to protect herself while she's out, especially in the vulnerable stage when she's on chemotherapy.
That's right.
Right? And like you said, Coach Denise, which made a lot of sense too, you may be judging somebody that's wearing a mask. They may be sick, may have something that can wipe everybody out that they're around.
Right.
They want to protect you by protecting themselves, right? So that's another thing you want to take into consideration. But in retrospect, I would say I wish I did have on a mask when I was in that van, because it was close quarters, and 7 people ended up with either COVID or some kind of bug after that, we know.
Wow.
in the immediate family.
Wow.
After the funeral. I was the first one that started to get sick, and then after that it was dropping like flies.
The domino effect.
Right, and those are not even the people that we are not that familiar with. So we
Right.
can imagine how many other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Like you said, I know I wasn't conscious about, I didn't even bring my purifying recovery spray, which is a great thing I could have just sprayed that around myself as a protective shield. That's something that I definitely could have done. And as far as, like you said, as far as being around people and not wanting to be standoffish or anything, we don't want to be that way. We don't. But I feel that my purifying recovery spray would protect me, where I have that, like I said, that shield of protection, where I can hug somebody and feel safe, because we have to live. It's important to live, even though, there's so much going on out there, so much to be concerned about as far as your health is concerned. So going back to basics, to me, it's important. If you feel like you are around a lot of people and you want to wear a mask, like someone told me, don't forget, you can get some really pretty masks still on Amazon.
That's right.
Some rhinestones or whatever. Do what you have to do. And another thing we were saying prior to coming live is that we were talking about the importance of how, hallelujah, my phone, you never know when my phone's going to say hallelujah. We were talking about how really and truly, if you have, just carry those things with you, because you just don't know when you're going to be in a situation, when you're going to need them, and be okay with needing them. What else were we saying before?
Yeah, we were talking about that, and you touched on it. I mean, I don't want to offend anyone. That the idea is not to offend people, but at the same time, you have to be mindful of yourself and others. And we would have gatherings, and we would ask people we would tell them, before we all come together, everyone has to take a COVID test. It's just the way it is. You have to take a COVID test, and if you're sick, then you're not gonna come. And if they chose not to take a COVID test, then we just couldn't take the chance, because there's a lot of people in the environment, and you want to make sure that everybody is safe. The bottom line is, and the goal is, to make sure that everyone is safe. That's the bottom line. It's not to offend anybody or anything like that. You were asking me what I would have done differently if I had known that the person was sick, or if I was thinking, because we were still in COVID when we got in that car that day. We were still in the midst of the pandemic. It hadn't gone yet. And I could have protected the both of us by changing the seating arrangements, opening up some windows, and requesting that we both put masks on. That way both of us would have been safe, and probably, I may not have gotten sick. I can't say what would have happened once he got to where he was going, but at least I could have protected us in the car.
Right.
So
exactly.
that's a couple of things we're talking about. So instead of thinking about it as being offensive, think about it as if the person is trying to protect you as well as themselves.
Yes.
So there's no reason to be offended. And like you said, Coach Harmon, if you choose not to wear the mask, that's on you. But if you choose to do it and don't feel like you're offending anybody, because there's, people will get offended by you wearing it, but you can't take that on.
Exactly.
Because your reasons for it is not to offend, and you know that. So you just do what you have to do. But meanwhile, you got your hand sanitizer, and you're doing what you have to do to keep your environment clean.
Yeah. I love that. And, and we can just tiptoe into the subject of the vaccine for a moment, just because that's another area where we can get very sensitive about, and defensive and opinionated, and we said a long time ago that you have to hear from God for yourself.
Yes.
For yourself.
Yes.
And it's important to respect that. It's very important. Coach Denise and I, we both decided, and it was a huge decision for us, because as holistic women, that wasn't something we would never even have considered. But we got the unction in our spirit to go on and get vaccinated. We did a lot of research, and we chose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. But I knew that was going to be it for me, because I was going to focus on what we're going to talk about now, my immune system. And I got a little shady with that, and that's why I got that bad cold. And the cold caused me to get an ear infection, eye infection, the whole nine. But I'm telling you, I am ready for this next detox that's coming up really soon, because my immune system, I'm loving on my immune system. We're going to also next week talk about the different organs that support the immune system and how they function for us. Because we don't think about the inside of our bodies and how important it is for us to love on our organs, because they're protecting and loving on us, right? But as far as the vaccine is concerned, I know someone who was at the funeral, she had just gotten her second booster, and she ended up with COVID, because the vaccine, it's just one thing if you're going to get it, the vaccine. If you choose not to be vaccinated, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. You still have to focus on your inner terrain. You have to focus on your immune system. That is the most important thing. We're all about dealing with our inner terrain, and as women of faith, we talk about the traditional way and focus, but then we also talk about the spiritual aspect of protection. So let's quickly talk about the immune system and why it's so important to detox the body, to get our immune system prepared and strong and empowered to support us.
Yeah. Well, growing up, and I always like to go back to what my mother did, because she gave us vitamins. We going more on the traditional, of course, but she gave us vitamins, in the morning. We ate breakfast every single day at home. She would not send us outside without breakfast, and the vitamins would either be in our hands or squirted into our breakfast cereal, right? So we would have that, in the morning with a glass of orange juice. That was our breakfast pretty much every day. We did not eat fast food. She totally rejected that. She had a word for it. She called it rot gut, and she would not let us go after school to have that. So we couldn't go there. So if you want hamburgers and whatever, you come home, I'll cook you. She cooked whatever we wanted, but she always cooked very good, healthy meals for us and everything like that. And then she made sure that we went to sleep at a certain time, because she was big on making sure that you get your rest and everything. So those are the things that me growing up is what I remember. And as a result of this, and this is no kidding, as a result of this, me and my brothers, we had the best attendance record, because we did not get flus. We hardly got a cold, and we rarely caught any of them stomach flus that went around. We didn't get any of that. So we would get awards for attendance, because we were in school every single day, not getting sick. And remember, back then, a classroom full of children, we weren't wearing masks. But so why were the other children catching these diseases, but we didn't get it? And I believe it's because of what she did.
Vitamins and keeping you eating healthy food.
And getting that rest.
And getting rest. So so now where we are today, the things we would do differently. I know for many of us, we don't eat breakfast. We do intermittent fasting, or we don't. I'm not a breakfast person. That again is a individual thing. But I have my liquid nutrition in the morning. With whether it's the smoothie or the juicing. I like to do a kidney liver flush. I've been doing that lately to clean out my kidneys and my liver. And I also make sure that we do the lemon water, the
lemon cucumber water.
Lemon water. I have the healing infusions, the teas, so all of that, by the time I drink all of that and take my supplements and all, I don't even have room for breakfast for the
You
most part.
basically had it.
I had it, right? I totally did. So that's something that you can consider, focusing on and really building up your arsenal of liquid nutrition. That's so important. You have the aloe vera, you have so many different supplements that are in liquid form that you can take today that will definitely keep you strong and healthy. So that's something that you want to consider to build up your immune system. We cannot finish this conversation without talking about fasting and the detox and our 28-day body and soul detox, because it is like everything. It covers everything. And, you don't just jump right into deprivation. In fact, there's no deprivation.
None.
It's awesome for getting you back to where you should be or pushing you towards that. You may be so far on that off the wellness bridge that you'll have to do it a few times before you can even really get your immune system fired up again.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right. And how much better do we feel, and all of the people who do the detox, how great they feel after the detox.
Oh yeah.
That they're eliminating more, so they're releasing toxins. It's just amazing. It really, and it's very, very important. Detoxing is the first line of defense when it comes to protecting your immune system and keeping yourself guarded against viruses. Really important.
I agree.
Totally.
I agree 100%.
Totally. So so basically that's it. And the last thing I have to put that little cherry on top, and those who are women of faith, we have to talk about the spiritual protection. Some things we don't leave home without doing.
That's right.
Right? Because it's vital, especially in the times that we live in today. Your morning time with God is very important. You're speaking life, you're praying, you're saying your Psalms 91. That is so important. You want to protect yourself by speaking life, by praying over yourself and your family, and even taking communion can do that. It's important, and it makes a huge difference. Even in your own mindset, that you did your work. You did the work, and God's going to do his part, and you just feel empowered. So the spiritual aspect of protecting yourself from colds, the flu, and COVID is extremely important.
I always feel protected when I do my morning routine with the prayer and all that. I always feel really protected when I'm walking out my door.
Yes.
After doing that.
Yes. And how could you not, when you're like saying, because I dwell in the secret place of the Most High, I abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I say unto the Lord, you are my refuge, you are my fortress, you are the God in whom I trust. Surely you will deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the prevalent pestilence. You will cover me with your feathers, and under your wings I will take refuge. Hallelujah. Yes, and on to the break of dawn, because that's how we do it here, okay? Amen. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I am looking forward to seeing you next week when we talk about how to deal with it when you already got it, okay? So if you already have a cold, you already have the flu, or you're dealing with COVID, what can we do to make it an easier and a quicker recovery? Definitely. A quicker recovery is so important. You want to recover quickly.
Yes.
That's important, because you don't want it lingering on and bringing on other things that's going to make you sicker. All right. So listen, we love you, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay. See you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I hope you were blessed by this episode. If so, please be a blessing by liking and subscribing so that we can reach more sisters like you. Be sure to click the link in the show notes to download this episode's juicy free resource. And let's stay connected. Join our Sacred Self-Care Sisterhood Facebook group with daily inspiration for your body and soul, designed to awaken the kingdom heiress you truly are. Like our business page, where you can join me live for weekly food demos, self-care tips, and emotional healing support. Visit the website for a complete list of our programs and support tools. Beloved, life doesn't get better by simply praying. It gets better by receiving the support you need to get what you've been praying for. Set up your complimentary health and wellness support call by simply filling out my health and wellness assessment form and scheduling your call. See all details in the show notes below. And remember, you can soothe your soul, heal your body, and live your bliss in a time like this.